Hello, we reading in the writings of Rash, Vertical Pim, and the commandment until he does not know. You can find the study materials in your system. You can also send us questions live through the website here in the study hall. If anyone wants to ask a question, he is asked to stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth, and speak loud and clear. Again, the writings. Offer page 455, the article Pim and the commandment. Until he does not know. Said one must drink until he does not know the cursed from the blessed. However, impossible to come to a state of not knowing before one is in a state of knowing. Afterward, it is possible to say that we should achieve a higher degree called not knowing. Certainly, this is a higher degree than knowing. We are instructed to observe this only on Purim and not all year long. As our S said, on Purim one must and not throughout the year. Accordingly, we should understand the meaning of knowing and not knowing. We should also understand the commandment in the Torah. Read the portion of said. Remember, there wrote I should explain the custom, or because of whom is it written in the Torah that they should read specifically on this Shabbat has determined that it is in this Sabbath because many people come to the synagogue and it is close to Pim in order to attach the story of Amal to the story of Ham. This means that remember that which Am has done to you always applies. However, they determine that it should be read on Sabbath before Pim in order to attach the story about Amal to the story of also. What do the attachment of remember time teach us in the work? In order to understand all the above, we should first understand the purpose of creation. This we will know what is knowing or telling between the cursed Ham and the blessed Morai, and what is cannot tell between the cursed Ham and the blessed is known that the purpose of creation is to do good to his creations in order for the good that the Creator gives to be complete, meaning that upon reception they will not feel any pleasantness, since there is a rule that every branch wants to resemble its root, and the root of the created beings is his desire to give to the created beings. When the created beings receive from him, feel shame, since this is the opposite from the root. For this reason there was a correction called restriction and concealment on the original vessel of reception, which is as it was initially created, receiving in order to receive. It was done by correction, meaning that in this vessel there is already control over it through the establishing of the restriction, so the upper abundance does not come to the vessel called will to receive. The vessel of this kind remained in a state called vacant space, face without light, and she remained in the dark only when they can place an intention to bestow on this vessel, which Ising, meaning although he has a great desire and craving to receive the abundance, is not sure about himself if what he receives from the Creator will be due to the mitzvah commandment, which is because the Creator wants to give. As it was said, he wants to do good to his creations, then he's willing to relinquish the delight that he receives from the Creator. Instead, he wants to receive delight and pleasure only because of the purpose of creation. Now we can know the difference between the cursed age and the blessed way of righteous Mori work only in order to bestow upon the Creator is called this. We can later come to the degree of wholeness. He comes to a degree where he can already say to the Creator, I want you to give me delight and pleasure because I want to observe your desire to give to the created beings delight and pleasure. Now I'm ready to receive the delight and pleasure because I know that I do not want self-love. In order to bestow, aim to bestow reception of the King's gift is in that is there is no shame there, because the reception is because of his desire to assist the Creator for the purpose of creation to be revealed, so everyone would know that the purpose of creation is to do good to his creation, since our sages said if he performs one mitzvah, happy is he, for he has shifted himself in the entire world to the side of merit. Therefore, since he is in a state where he has no concern for self-love, but rather for the love of others, it follows that by wanting to receive delight and pleasure from the Creator, he wants to keep the love of others between men and God, and between men and men. This is as it is written in the Zed, say to Zion, you are my people, do not pronounce you are my people in the but you are with me in the I, which means to be partners with me. Happy are they who exert in the Torah. There it speaks between man and the Creator, but the matter of the interpretation of a partner can also be applied between men and men. This implies that later the whole world will receive the side of merit. It follows that he did good between men and men by causing the entire world to receive the delight and pleasure that exists in the purpose of creation. It follows that he has become a partner of the Creator, that through him will come the assistance by which everyone will later achieve the purpose of creation. Has become a partner of the Creator, as it is written, I started creation by wanting to give delight and pleasure, and Israel exert to realize the goal by making vessels that are fit to receive the upper abundance without any flaw, the bread of shame. Even when they receive the delight and pleasure, they do not lose the Atician old equivalence of war. This was the reason for the restriction. This is regarded as knowing the path of Morai, which is a path that brings blessing to the entire world. As said above, if he merits, he shifts himself in the entire world to the side of merit. This is called the blessed. Meli H. Man's way is not to look at correction of the restriction that was placed on the vessels of reception. Rather, he says, since the Creator created the world in order to good to his creations, we see that in our nature there is a desire to receive delight and pleasure. Then why did the Creator create this desire if not to use it? Did he instead created us a desire and craving to receive pleasure, and said not to use it but be tormented by? It follows that this is the opposite way. It is said that he created the world in order to do good to his creation. By righteous Modi saying not to use this desire means that he has created the world in order to do bad to his creation. So it would probably be better not to create the will to receive delight and pleasure. Al together create a desire and craving to receive delight, and then say not to use it, but to torment oneself and remain devoid of pleasure. Therefore, how is it possible to agree with M's way and say that it is forbidden to use the vessels that want to enjoy? After all, this is the real vessel that the Creator created. Even admits that the Creator created the desire to receive delight and pleasure in the world. Therefore, H argues that M's way is not the path of truth. In particular, he has many supporters for his way. The world says that the true way in the world is as Ham says, is as it is written, all the king's servants were at the king's gate, and bow to Ham the king commanded for him. That made them see that thus the king commanded at he man claimed, since the king, meaning the Creator, created the will to receive, he must want us to receive and enjoy. And all the king's servants ned, meaning they surrendered to Ham's view, because he argued that this will to receive, which M says not to use it is incorrect, because the Creator did not create it in vain, but rather to be used. But says no, Britain did not kneel and did not bow. This is the meaning of what is WR. The king's servants who are at the king's gate said to Modai, why are you defying the king's commandment? Said about this that it means that the king's servant said to Morai is telling us that he's going in his way and not in Morai's way, because this is the path of truth. This is the meaning of their asking, why are you defying the king's commandment? Meaning that Creator, because said that so the king has come, had commanded him, meaning the king of kings. This means that since the will to receive and to crave for self love is the king of all kings, that the king of all kings created this force in the created beings. This is why the whole world supports H's view and mind. Also, H's view was written in the Torah, as sages said, a man came from the Torah, as it is written, have you eaten from the tree from which I have commanded you not to eat? The man of eating from the tree of knowledge is explained in introduction to the book, explains there that was completely separated from there. It has already been explained that did not have the greatness of reception in his structure whatsoever, which is extended from the vacant space. Rather, he was extended entirely from the system of Cad San, which is about the Sto is WR in there. That did not have anything from this world. This is why the tree of knowledge was forbidden for him like his root, and the entire system, the K which are separated from the due to their disparity of form. It follows that H means using the big will to receive in order to receive. This was the whole of the serpent's advice. Is also written there that he said to the serpent, God has eaten from this tree and created the world. That is, he looked at this in the form of the end of the ACT is in the preliminary thought, and this is why he created the world. This is the meaning of the serpent's argument that eating from the tree of knowledge is God's commandments. Why did the Creator command not to eat? To this the serpent gave Adam and Eve a good answer. Essentially, he means to observe the Creator's commandment by advice them eat from the tree of knowledge. This is also the issue here in the book of Ascent, where it is written, and all the king's servants were at the king's gate and bow to hand. This is so because so the king had commanded him. By this we will understand that cursed H means that Ham's way is a cursed path, meaning a path of a curse. This is as it is written, and the Lord God said unto the serpent, because you did this, cursed you are you more than all beasts. The woman, he said, I will greatly multiply your sadness. The man, he said, because you have eaten from the tree, cursed is the earth because of you. According to the above, we understand that the man should reach the degree of knowing mean. What is the big difference between cursed H and blessed Morai? It is the difference between life and death. Way brings life, and one is rewarded with adhering to the life of lives, but Ham's way, he already knows, brings curse to the world, for all the death in the world is caused by eating of the tree from which I have commanded you not to eat. It is about that the writing says, cursed. This letter applies until the end of correction, that one should be careful not to fall into the path of Ham. At the end of correction, all the will to receive will be corrected already in order to bestow, and then death will be swallowed up forever. It is as the Z says at the end of correction, some will be a holy angel. Now we can understand the attachment of lowing out when we read. Remember what Am has done to you, specifically when we know everything Adam had done to us, which is the death that he caused to the world by his control not to walk in the path of to adhere to the life of lives. Then we try to obliterate him from the face of their earthwise. Before a person achieves the degree of knowing what H and Amal did to us, the person does not crave to obliterate him. It follows that specifically when one has reached the degree of knowing the cursed H from the blessed Morai, it is possible to obliterate for this reason, before which is the time when we should reach the degree. Until he does not know, must reach the degree of KN, and only then we can wipe out. In other words, when a person wants to observe wipe out the memory of, is a sign that he has already been rewarded with knowing. Otherwise the person cannot wipe out Amal. He immersed in the shell of Am and does not want to keep wipe out the memory of Amal. Now we will explain what our sages said one must drink until he does not know the cursed H, the blessed. What is the greatness that only on P him we can do such a thing, meaning until he does not know the holy. Says therefore in the future all the special days will be cancelled except for the book of Esther. The reason is that there has never been such a great miracle, not on Sabbaths and not on good days when there was such illumination, even after the departure of the male from the female, except in the days. Often in this respect there is a great advantage to put him over the rest of the days, even over Sabbaths and good days. In the commentary of Inner Light he explains there that before the end of correction it is impossible to correct all the sparks and vessels that broke, but only the 288 sparks from the 320 sparks can be sorted and brought into K San, yet these two will be sorted gradually, leaving 32 sparks out of all the sparks which must not be sorted. The stony heart, only by sorting the 288 sparks, when they are completely sorted, the stony heart will be corrected by itself. As and I will remove the stony heart from your flesh, I will give you a heart of flesh, that time death will be swallowed up forever. All the bad will be corrected into good, and darkness will shine as light. These lights of him are similitude of the end of correction, for they shine only thanks to the miracle. For this reason all the special days are cancelled except for it belongs to the end of correction. When all the bad is corrected, there will be no difference between the cursed H and the blessed M, and Ham too will be corrected into good. Thank you to the reader. Questions: what is this entire process? That he explains to us in the end when he asks why. Only will remain in the end, and then he explains all the story with the sparks. After all the vessels are corrected, then only poor will be left, will be last to receive in all the vessels in order to bestow without any limit. That is really the correction of poor. There is the obligation to drink to get intoxicated. This is what it is. Yes, this is a symbol of that person reaches the degree of knowing, telling between the cursed Ham and blessed. Why not kill Ham? Then now he understands that he was just help against him, and he can use him correctly. Why kill him? What do you mean? Correctly, in order to be use the vessels of H, just like eventually we come to that all the desires that were in order to receive will be corrected to in order to bestow. So why is killed? He wants to receive, to work with these vessels in order to receive. Why not restrain Ham? Why should he be hanged and killed? That's how it is according to the equivalence of the spiritual corporal actions after he's killed. How can use something that you tilled in what his desires are? That's it. Are they being used in order to bestow? Basically, in which vessel didn't understand it. H is killed. Right is the intention in order to receive. What does it mean to use H after he's killed his vessels? They have to be corrected in order to receive in them in order to bestow. Okay, what is the difference between Haman and Amalek? I can't say clearly, but Am is more general, just like his name, in order to receive, and Ham, if we correct H, will also be corrected. He says here that he has become a partner of the Creator because by him there is the assistance, so that everyone will later on reach the receiving the purpose of creation. So he connects between the correction of between then and the Creator, the correction which is by this. He also makes a correction in for the future for the whole of humanity. Yes, can you explain it? How should we relate to the corrections according to this explanation? Each and every correction is added until eventually you come to state where the entire W to receive will be filled with in order to bestow. But what does it mean to be partners with the Creator? It's WR about it, that the Creator is start at the creation and the righteous end the creation. What should we focus on in relation to humanity? As he says here, that we make every correction the correct every time we relate to something correctly. It also breaks the correction to the whole of humanity. Yes, it's clear if we are making corrections in order to bestow of our corrections will be also for the sake of the general vessel. Does it mean to be partners with where Creator? Partners with the Creator means that they are using the same M to receive that he created in order to bestow to him is only at the very last stage of their creation. Yes, until then it's we not considered partners, and not until then. No, thank you. He says that only if I reach the degree of knowing I'll be able to reject. And what is this degree of knowing? What should I know? To know the desire of the Creator, the will of the Creator. Creator wants us to take the entire W to receive, add it to us, then we'll be able to make a calculation in which part of his can we receive in order to bestow. This means that knowing this, knowing only comes towards the end of correction. Yes, and what happens then? Until then, each time, or until one does not know. Okay, thank you very much. He writes that H's way is not to look at the correction of the restriction he wants to in order to receive. Yea, but what does it mean not to look at the restriction he wants to cancel it? He doesn't understand what is this state. He thinks that it can be cancelled because the moment the restriction occur, then in order to receive he wants to cancel the restriction as well. He's operating the way we learn it, and in general we know that first R cannot be cancelled because this will actually cancel the whole of creation. He nevertheless has his own thoughts, his own hope. This hope and thought actually eventually promotes, helps it. Helps, yes, so that is the question. So is actually waiting for H to go wild and ask as much as possible with his demand. What is this waiting that he does? What not simple be in the state of waiting sitting on the side? No, not just to wait when you have it in your hand and then you're holding it, and then why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? Rather to wait means that it's still not clear to him how he can come out toward correction, can come out to corrections only after this closes is true quality. Then he writes but says that only the moment that he knows that he wants to do it in order to bestow, then he's willing. How does a person reach this feeling or the understanding, this discernment that he knows that he's willing to receive only in order to bestow as much to the extent the Creator is revealed to him and fills him with lot of bestow? Then a person understands, is certain that what he's about to receive now will be in order to bestow. First he's filled with the light of pisto, then he can receive. No, he cannot be filled with the light of pisto, but he's going in order to bestow with all of his vessels, and he comes to the greatest light of bestow called pu, going for maximally. That's clear, but how does he know that he can receive the pleasure upon whatever he's doing in order to bestow? How come you have this clear measurement so that you know how much you able to receive in order to bestow? It's got all the vessels are the vessels that he had in order to receive, and then in order to bestow now he's is using them. In other words, he has control over all the vessels. What is this control of? In order to bestow, he's certain he will not make any mistakes and start receiving. How does this confidence come? What is this confidence? Because he'd been through all those previous actions he was in order to bestow. Then he decided that he going for in order to receive as well, and in order to receive he made corrections. Further, we don't fail there. One cannot fail if we do things in order to bestow, and we see that indeed we are not willing to receive, but then you do receive afterwards. You do receive because the time comes, meaning the state where he can work with the vessels of reception in order to bestow. What is this discernment? That he knows that he can work with the vessels of reception in order to bestow. The main thing for him is to bestow. The content of his action is to bestow to the Creator. If he can do it, if you can bestow, is using vessels of bestow also, from the lightest, from the smallest to the greatest. If he can bestow then also with vessels of reception, then he also opens them up from the smallest to the greatest. That's really the work. What are you looking at me like that for? I don't understand how he doesn't. First he uses the vessels even without in order to bestow. If I don't use a vessel of reception, how can I know that in order to I enan the state of in order to bestow over this vessel of reception? If I didn't lift 50 kg of weight, how do I know that I'm able to lift them without trying it first? You try first in order to bestow in order to bestow. From that you measure your power. Bestow, then you add power of slowly from the smallest to the greatest vessels of reception. The force of that I have right. Now let's say in a certain state it's only over the vessels of pistol, it's not over the vessels of reception. How can I now add a vessel of reception to the force of P that I have an addition that is required here? From where do I get it? How does he know it? Because there was a shattering, and he has rhyme records. He's got broken vessels, so he knows what it means to receive in order to receive. And what does it mean to bestow? And then you can receive in order to bestow by adding those vessels. We come to it, and we enter it very clearly. There's no here. How can we build the vessel to receive the upper abundance? The vessel for receiving the abundance is built from the will to receive that we have from the beginning, and these vessels we arrange according to the order from the smallest to the greatest, from the lightest to the heaviest. After we come to vessel bestow in order to bestow, which is a lot of we have a correction in it, we add to it vessels of receiving in order to bestow from the smallest to the greatest vessel, and that's how we reach correction. We have records from all those vessels, which is why we can use those vessels. And if we and now toward the force of bestow from above, certain that we can receive in order to bestow and not to fall exactly. He writes here also, but all the king's servants in the king's gate kneel and bow before him, because so the king commanded. Eventually you see this is very cunning and a end to receive. Yes, But also, when you detect these things, eventually you see that Ham is somewhere, stealing your work, and he tells you this is what the king commanded, that you will receive, and you fall. So how do you detect this man in order to win against him until you come to an order to bestow over the entire vessel? In total you have a conclusion of your work in order to bestow. You don't begin to receive, don't begin to receive. Just imagine there's a plate, a bowl of soup before you, spoon, and you're starting to eat. So every time you're eating you need to demand the vessels in order to bestow more and more, otherwise you can't receive, and that's what's happening. So what is the miracle? Actually, but because what you're describing is that I build this vessel, you're building it, but in the end he says that the reception of these high lights, it's only due to the miracle. So what is this miracle? Then how to explain it? Look at someone say something only in terms of the word nes in Hebrew. Miracle, to lift up, like we say a banner. It's 1 degree higher, so maybe something I haven't heard at before. Miracle means above reason, above the powers of a person. It's something you have to take upon yourself. After all the calculations, you made the calculations. You think that yes, or you think that no, but here you're going for. It means that you're going to open up this degree. The fact that now I'm going above it, what I'm going above is no, sorry, right now I want to reach in with the Creator. That's the goal, right? And I always discover how much I'm actually only falling into myself, how far away I am. No, up to here you've done all your steps, and during the ascent correctly, how do I adhere to this? I mean something is missing in my feelings so that I can not know maybe, but I'll grab hold of this matter, that now I in this reason I didn't fall, and once again I'm kneeling before the king, who is actually not a king, telling me you're working for the king, you're performing the king's commandment, you're going about reason, you're doing everything, but I'm not doing it. In the end they discover once again that I was kneeling before Ham. Why that's how it turns out. I don't know why you've gone up all the degrees before that, successfully did it all successfully. So these success, how do I not swallow it up and take it to myself? How do I not enjoy it? You're constantly doing it this way. The Creator is helping you from the first degree to the last degree. So let me try, sorry for insisting. How do I know that I'm not lying to myself, that I'm not in some imaginations? You are involved in these actions that are revealed in you consistently. Each time you see that you are adding and adding and adding, there's no way here for to seemingly jump into the abyss. So the feeling of this addition is this corrected of I feel right now, I feel good, or I don't feel good, I agree, I disagree, but the addition itself is the work. The above reason is this work that I have to continue in. Addis can I, yes, thanks to continue. The friend miracle is above rient. We say you labored and you found believe. It's so seemingly the person works and works and works, and he's supposed to receive a reward. The reward changes from in order to receive to in order to bestow. But a miracle seems to be something outside of this equation. What do you think is that miracle? Am I? But really seemingly you labored. There are two things that bother me here. One is you labored, then you found believe. It seemingly a person labors and works, and in the end he should get a reward, the spiritual reward. That reward, yes, but the miracle seemingly is unrelated to this clean equation, meaning what's happening here that we can call a miracle. In truth, each time is going asking for correction. There is a part of the portion of the stony heart in this correction portion from in order to receive that is nevertheless getting corrected. That is why this entire path really is a miracle. So the miracle is only about the future, what we call the end of correction. What's revealed this year through this sort of incorporation, there is a part that yes, we'll read about it. So the first stage, it's not a miracle, it's just a part of the normal logical, I don't want to say logical, but the part of this process of exerting and know. Nevertheless, in each and every action there is a portion from the miracle from and last question, how does the person break free from this knowledge that in the end there will be a miracle? That's not important, it does not matter, because it's going for a state which is good in the eyes of the Creator, which is in order to bestow, and that's why he's doing that. No, thanks K. No whole story ends with the Jews winning and joy the end of. Correction, why is the Creator not revealed in the end? How come there's no attention and no justification of the entire path? Okay, the Jews triumph over the nation that they happy, everything ends with a feast, yes. They drink, they hang H, but where's the Creator? How come he doesn't open up? The Creator is behind the scenes, the one who's revealing all those actions to them, and that's it. So it's not yet the end of correction, as if potentially yes, but practically no. Good morning. Maybe direction, he writes here, in that the person was created already with a will to receive from their system of. So I suppose that in creation itself, this entire desire was created, then he says did not have the greatness of reception in him at all, extended from the vacant space. What does that mean? That the Creator created a vessel that is in greatness, look, the will to receive, meaning that back then there was already the entire will to receive, and it was in the system of K, the system of. This is what he writes here. No, he send the serpent, he was already in the system of. No, the vessel not receive in order to bestow, but there was a vessel already, mean there was if he didn't receive in order to bestow. But he writes here that he was in the system of K sanctity, he was already in bestow. This is what he writes here. Was it had the ability to be in order to receive and in order to, but he did not use receive in order to, yet so it was necessary to send in the serpent. So we will eat from the tree of knowledge, and whole process we scrutinize. Yes, so it all started there. Yes, step before receiving in order to bestow is to bestow in order to bestow what is revealed in receiving in order to bestow that was not known in bestowing in order to bestow, that the vessels of reception can be in bestow before at what was bestowed before that what is bestow in order to bestow. If there's no reception there from this whole discussion we're having, the correction is on vessels of reception. So I'm asking, what is bestow in order to bestow? What are we bestowing over if there's no vessel of reception? What does it mean to bestow in order to bestow? Maybe that's the question. Bestowing in order to bestow, you're using the will to receive from below up. You're not drawing, pulling, you're not performing a coupling by striking. What am I doing? Instead there's a desire to receive. I'm not using it. You seemingly reject. And then what does it mean to bestow here? That's what I can't grasp. That you don't want to receive these pleasures for yourself, and that's called best. By that you want to resemble the Creator instead of receiving in order to receive. I suddenly stopped receiving, so I am like the Creator a little bit. Is that called re-bestow in order to bestow? Yes, so this limitation, this restriction over the vessels of reception is called bestowing in order to bestow. There's no true action, no action, but there is an intention. Again, why do we have the desire to receive for ourselves, and we don't have a desire to receive in order to bestow? To receive for ourselves we have had to begin with from creation. The Creator created the will to receive, okay, but we have this yearning to receive for ourselves. Yes, will to receive is a desire to receive delight and pleasure, enjoy from that, and he said that was under the restriction, but he didn't have the yearning to receive for himself. How can it be under the restriction and not have the yearning? Well, the passion, the craving, means that he's drawn to it. He has records of what does it mean to receive and to enjoy. He didn't have that. The shattering of added this strong attraction toward receiving for himself. And how does that help our correction? This yearning, this passion. Why did the CR give us such passion to receive for ourselves? That we have the great ready will to receive. It's already made for correction. Yeah, it's great, but why for ourselves? Why this feeling constantly be drawn to receiving pleasure for myself? I guess that's the shadowing, the shadow of brought this strong attraction, right? And then the last question about the souls of Israel. I understand that each soul must reach its correction to receive in order to bestow. That's all the souls. So what's special about the souls of Israel? He says that they assist all the other souls. So what's so special about those souls? They belong to be correctly to bestow in order to bestow. This is why they assist. They link the entire will to receive with the Creator through their vessels. They seemingly helped the great desire to come out of this yearning, this passion for receiving for itself again. Yes, thank you. continues. Here matter of the skull that all the slaves the king's gate they bowed down, and before, because that's what the king ordered, and he say that, this a path of curse, but, the king said to bow down to Haman how, can he says, that this is a path of curse why is this path? Curse the king didn't say bow down to, down to, yes from the it sounds like the king is, extremely, devious is giving man the command to, bow down to H and then he tells him it's, a cursed path, and he's not even saying it to him like all these interpretations. How do you think it is impossible to discover that the will to receive is cunning and curse, etc. I know like him the king of the creator. He's never reveals himself. He also railed to his only connection is through Ham of the sea creator with the will to receive. Were you expecting that the king will be revealed to Mori at some point in the story after they made a restriction, they fasted, they show their willingness to come and perform a certain action? Yes, I expect that they will be revealed to. Well, this works through right, but in practice there's a concealed force. Here, what does it mean that a person reveals the creator? What does that mean? What's happening? What changes? He discovers the purpose, he discovers the way to him, covers what he has to work no to get closer from the place where he wants to the place where he needs to be, but he receives directions from him directly. Creator, of course, not where. Have you seen that the creator tells something to someone? That's what I'm asking. No, so what is the end of correction? Forget about that. What is the end of correction is that the only thing that is left for you to scrutinize and to mark my goal, need to reach the goal yet, meaning we need to acquire the vessels in order to understand the goal itself. Yes, saying in the beginning of the article, that's why there was a correction called restriction and concealment on the original vessel of reception, which is as it was initially created, receiving in order to receive, and it was done by correction, meaning that in this vessel there's already control over her through the establishing of the restrictions, so the upper abundance does not come to the vessel called to receive, and these vessels have remained in a state called vacant space without light, and she remained in the dark. So the darkness is in the vessel, is in the dark, and its suffering he wants to receive fulfillment into its vacant space. That state of darkness is intolerable, and she wants fulfillment. And then I'm jumping one paragraph ahead. Now we can know the difference between the cursed man and bless as the way of the righteous Morai is to work only in order to bestowed upon the witches called bestowing. By this we can later come to the degree of wholeness. When it comes to a degree, we can already say to the creator, I want you to give me the light and pleasure because I want to observe your desire to give the creatures the light and pleasure. Now I'm ready to receive the delight and pleasure because I know that I do not want this due to self-love, but in order to bestow. Yes, so it seems like this vessel that's in the dark ends suddenly the path awakens. It says, look, I'm willing to remain in the dark. I want nothing for myself, but I'm willing to receive the light and pleasure because you only give it to the vessel. So there are several questions here. First of all, this point of who did it suddenly come to the vessel. It seems like a point that's outside of the vessel. So it's outside of the nature of the vessel. Above it, how a vessel that's entirely in the dark has such a point, awakening it suddenly, because well, wait a minute, in the will to receive, yes, that has a point. What is it? It says something that's completely opposite to the nature of that vessel. This entire vessel is darkness, is in order to receive. What do you mean entirely? All of it. That's what it is, that's its nature. This is the will to receive again. Yeah, it's a vessel of receptions to receive, but now it's currently in darkness. He doesn't even know why it's simply in the dark. That's how it is. That's how he was born. That's how he lives, is how you determine it. State, there's already a point of in it. That's part of it is outside of it. Where does it come to the vessel that's in that state of in order to receive? Know that to be still come, even the thought, even the idea that jumps to your head. Reception wants to receive first and foremost. Yes, well, is there any answer process described in the scroll of SDS after the shattering of the first temple? They had meaning, they had sparks. The vessel of best, they had everything. What's left is now there. Instead of exile, they have this inclination toward Bestow, they know what it means to bestow. What it means to be instead of. Bestow toward one another. He writes that he's in the exile of Babylon lasting 70 years. See, for him this is enough as an answer. Explanation. What's that? Everyone has a point in the heart, and it's simply covered with shells, and we have rim records from before when we were some other planet, I don't know how to call it. Place shattered into this world. They have records, may be the strongest, and that's what brings us here every morning. That force pushes us to attain the screen, to attain in order to the end of the first in 4 phases. He also already has the feeling of the giver in the end of phase 1. Yeah, he receives the pleasure, and at the end of it he feels that there's a giver of the pleasure already. There's a gap, that the process of development of bestow in the vessel inside each and every phase. There is a process where there is some revelation of the creator. They're okay, that's something. Yes, I agree with what's said, and also if he wants to reveal the matter using the same word, same story, the entire process of the Bible, they said Israel was like that. No, before that there was Abraham, you know, that's how it started. Since then, not suddenly, you know, he comes from sh, comes from fine. Yes, if I understood correctly the question, we know that there is a mixing of and mal, then vessel, and you have sparks of holiness inside the receive, and then it awakens over time. So the creature always has this part, although it's asleep most of the time. The question was, how can be that inside our will to receive we have a yearning for? That's on the mixing of beiner. And yes, that in every vessel there is such a thing. However, these things need to be awakened. Yes, to answer such questions in the process of the rising of. Also about the miracle, we learn what is a miracle. Miracle is the ability Cree gives, the ability to bestow, and we also should not enjoy miracles. It's mentioned there as well. Okay, ask also about the last part of the article where he says that first you have to know the difference between blessed and cursed, and only when you come to the end of that then you can reach until you do not know. So blooding out of the until you don't know, describe everything to the creator. Is this the blooding out of well, wiping out in fact it all comes together, the beginning as well as the end, and in this actually is the opening up of the whole. But creation can happen only after the final recognition of evil, the final distinction between of discernment of why of no. Then this until you do not know can come. Yes, is it clear? Know what is what is the style, the manner of connection between vessels and reception. When we connect, let's say the went and gathered all the Jews, is this a different form of work? She's a form of work where Modai connects all of the vessel in order to bestow on their level, and then he brings them to correction. The connection happens between vessels. Ofo, or all the vessels connect completely. The connection is done between the vessels of reception. Kav, yes. We feel that we are going through a process. This entire path is a process. In this process there are states, or a person of foreign action has to perform a scrutiny over his action, his intention, before the action, and then the action ends. I think he also has to scrutinize the action that just finished. Is that correct? No, so after the action finishes there's no more scrutiny. No more scrutiny in the scrutiny before the action. We scrutinized the intention, right? The scrutiny that we're doing in the morning lesson, we're doing the scrutiny before an action. Is that what it is? Yes, so what is the action? The action afterwards is usually receiving, but only under the conditions that we are scrutinizing. Can define the action called morning lesson as an action. The lesson itself, is that an action? Yeah, what is the action? Here our general action that we want to connect in order to see through our connection that our path becomes more clear, and a result reach a result. And what's the result? The result, whatever each one will have as much as he participates. So what is the scrutiny that I want? What is the scrutiny I need to do prior to this action from which I want to see the result? This action called the morning lesson, that in the morning lesson we are all connecting as much as possible, as much as each one invests his force in there, and from the connection between us, each one according to his investment can get his conclusions. Let's say how is it recommended from the connections we do here between us in the lesson to come to the best result. Each will reach the best result and receive value from these common scrutinies that each of us has to think how he connects to the others, how he incorporates with them in one heart, how in that one heart they start contact with the Creator, and how the Creator organizes that general heart in a way that each one can attain that degree of connection. So, is it correct to say that after we exit the lesson there's no scrutiny anymore? We're already in the scrutiny before the next action. Yeah, is there no summary? So what's the summary, and what's this prepare for the action? Summary is what each one does for himself. Once you come out of the lesson, a person has to sum it up for himself. What is a good summary that will advance us to a more refined action? Next, that each one will feel that he took a step ahead towards connection with the friends and to come closer to the Creator. Okay, thank you. Yes, to understand after the lesson we do a common summary. Each says what he took from our lesson. Should we continue with that? Is it preferred you do whatever you think? Everything's okay. Thinking to do what R says. I didn't say anything. I heard you just saying that. That each makes a summary for himself. Okay, that's except for what you're doing together. Okay, excellent, wonderful. Second thing is that each of us should think how he connects to the others, incorporated with them in one heart, and start the contact with the Creator. So, these two stages, the first stage of incorporated with them, what is the result before he starts the contact with the Creator? What you search for in this incorporation, search for unity, connection between everybody, between all of you, and in that vessel you keep, you are expecting to find the result, that portion, that daily portion. What to do with that? How that's asking for the friend and feels that suddenly I have a goal. Here Al sudden I is the one that's asking for them what to do with that. That's what each one has to do. That's okay. Yes, it's not receiving. That's not a matter of receiving. It's not receiving. Each one prays for everybody to be connected, and each and everyone is expecting to receive from attaining together, each one his part, and how to make it well. Let's say he feels a certain connection, how to make the contact with the Creator. The next step, connection can take place if the Creator doesn't help. So ready where he feels connection, he feels already with the Creator together. Okay, no, that state of the end of correction the people of Israel attained when they're in the exile of Babel after the ruin of the temple. They're outside of the land of Israel, under foreign control, and there, specifically, they attain the end of correction. Is an explanation for this, that this is how it is. Yes, the people of Israel discovers as being outside of Israel, or in Babylon, or in Egypt, in all kinds of states. Hashem. When they exited Egypt and entered the land of Israel, they acquired the in order to bestow, and then they fell from there and attain something higher. What it's not clear when they come out of Egypt and receive the Torah. So they received the Torah and start advancing along with the Torah towards which direction? Towards outside of Israel to Egypt. Could it be that it's included the general correction of everything? Yes, it's part of the correction of Israel. Then they reach the land of Israel with the Torah, and they go through the desert and enter the land of Israel. There are a few more actions here that they do, but eventually they settle and build the temple. But what are you asking? Okay, I didn't understand, but okay, thank you. Yes, I'll try to ask. Arrival the people of Israel to land of Israel. Does that mean that they've reached bestowing in order to bestow? Is that what the meaning when the people of Israel enter Israel and conquer the land of Israel? In the T it's written where they left Egypt and came to is their connection to the fact that they came to the manner of bestowing in order to bestow. It depends on what degree of connection between them. They are the land of Israel. The question is whether the land of Israel means that they have come to the degree of bestowing in order to bestow. She want it says once they reach the borders of the land of Israel they all enter bestowing in order to bestow. The meaning is if they have conquered, they've entered, they managed to overcome all the nations, all the them. Does that mean that they've come to the matter of going in order to bestow? Let's say so now the question is, if we look at the schedule of things that happen in the Bible. They're like, okay, so it turns out that they have an exile to Babylon. That comes after the land of Israel. So what does it mean that there's an exile? They fall from bestowing in order to what does it mean? Is that advancement? What is it? They enter in order to receive. The question there is why, specifically in that state called the exile of Babylon, specifically there this story of this state of is revealed, because then they have recognition of evil, recognition of the state they are in, that they don't have vessels of bestow, they don't have a desire to bestow, they are really in exile, that the feeling of they is perplexed, that they're saying yet they don't know who justice is. With this happens after reaching that state of bestow, not bestow, that happened in Israel already. I think that's the intention of our friend here. There were many states like those. Yes, do also to continue this question, I didn't exactly understand what is the state of exile. Exile is a disconnection, a certain disconnection from holiness. Did they come in exile to attainment? So there are such states in exile that are even higher than redemption in a different place. What's special about these states? The recognition, awareness, all in all. It's recognition who is on one hand she like the of Maud, and on the other hand she's a queen who, what is this force called the part of Mal that aids Israel to reach a general national recognition. National recognition, yes, no. Shabba question from Cab 4. In what way can we identify the scrutiny that we've mistaken? And I don't understand the question. Let's say I did a certain scrutiny. I decide to receive something or to accept something or not, and I've mistaken. How do I identify that I've been mistaken? I guess according to the so what results will those be? I don't know. You say you're putting the question before me and asking about it. The result, if I decide to receive something or to do a certain action, sometimes it appears to me a successful, sometimes it appears to me as a failure. Does that say something about the scrutiny that I've done before? No answer. How to identify desires that we cannot correct? We perform scrutinies, and according to that somehow we research our desires and scrutinize which of them can receive an answer, a response, and in which we can. How do I do this examination? How do I know that's in according to your connection with the environment that you draw that question you feel, and you want to solve it with the environment. From Turkey 7, what is that state of to know when the truth is constantly changing until the end of correction? Yeah, that's right, because a man is constantly going through scrutinies and changes. Is to know H means to scrutinize him to such an extent that it's clear to you what action you have to perform on him in order to make a complete scrutiny. For an PT 23, how do we come to the degree of to know in our work? That is through connecting to the degree of being where all the desires are incorporated. And how can we say that? I'm sorry, can we say that Ham is like the servants of the Creator who serve Pharaoh? I don't think that it's those who fear the Creator and work for Pharaoh doesn't accept the Creator to begin with in any way. In order to reach H, you need to go against all those actions that belong to the Creator. That's it. No, I wanted to continue the scrutiny of the participation in the morning lesson that you were talking about earlier. What does it mean to participate in the morning, to be active? Because you said whoever participates according to his participation he receives. That's clear to us that we are here few people around us more, and our purpose is to reach a scrutiny. So in that scrutiny, let's say now a friend asks a question I'm trying to incorporate with him. I'm incorporated with the scrutiny or the scrutiny of all of us, all of us. Now, if there's a friend that feels that he can contribute to the scrutiny, they can contribute to the scrutiny, but not each can stand up and ask. There's those that are, it doesn't matter even with his desire, even if he's silent. So in that silent desire, if he's capable, if he is capable, not capable, is there more of a measure too? And if he wants to participate and he wants to share and just keeps inside, it also acts on everyone. No. Yeah, can you explain what the role of Esther in this whole story? What did she do? No, it's very complex. You can really feel it's really felt like it's very complex. We didn't dig into that whole story yet completely not. Yes, sorry says that has an advantage even greater than Shabbat or a good day. What is the actual difference between Purim and Shabbat? The lights of are very great lights for the correction of the vessels. What does it mean that it's more? Because actually, also we exited Egypt, Shabbat and the heavens and the earth and all their hosts have rested. So what's the difference? It's all correction. No, we cannot. How should I say it? We can't measure these things, but Pim is like, well, briefly, it's a very big degree. It's as we have to understand that by keeping these conditions as are written, we can reach the end of our corrections. In the process of our corrections is the end of correction and nota Shabbat. All the Shabbats gather and bring us to the general Shabbat. So in the process of our corrections, what we call the holidays, the good days, and that show us process of our correction. Yeah, what is the actual process? Does it go in certain stages? First Shabbat, and then good day, and then how does it go? We'll learn about it. Okay, it's not in this way. Okay, thank you. The fact that you're not getting an answer, that's also an answer. If it's possible to ask systemically, if it's possible this matter of to know, which you really can differentiate between the blessed mod and the come to way that he doesn't know, where he doesn't differentiate yet, and he differentiates all where his feet stood both on Mount Olives and the left. It doesn't differentiate, it's all corrected. So what, where's this work above reason? Is it kind of on the way therefrom? Let's can differentiate between the blessed mod and there. Oh, where's it happen? Is that what he trying to say about this thing? What he wants to say we're not learning about yet, that's something we'll learn in the future. But the difference between cursed H and blessed we can already in somewhat we can start emphasizing it and see and even measure kind of what the difference between one another is, because is that we're already in a degree that we can see all the vessels from above downward, and blessed we can measure the vessels from below upward, and all of this is revealed to us in go. I see that it's not going to end today. Yes, Doctor, written here in the article, and this is just, I guess, the serpent claimed that the eating of the tree was a commandment of the Creator, and why did be commanded not to eat? For this the serpent gave a good excuse to Adam and his wife. What excuse did he give them? What good excuse did the serpent give to Adam and Eve to eat the tree of knowledge? He gave them a good excuse, and that's why they ate it. Yeah, but what was the excuse, though? That the way he turned it around, that also the Creator ate from that tree, and the moment they eat they were as God, but they know the difference between good and bad, that they really ascended to a degree that they're already above place that they were created in. It's kind of like our whole life. This serpent is just spinning us this way. That's clear of course how to identify this serpent, which is kind of spinning us our whole life. As much as a person join society, friends, a group, the Creator, then gradually he feels that the serpent draws him, pulls him backward. Yepakeno. Yes, earlier the friends said about this matter of the point in the heart and the sparks that we have, the records that we have. If we try for a moment to connect it to what we're going through here in our life, a person lives in the world and experiences, we'll say it in nice words, a certain lack of satisfaction from life, experiences darkness, and then he comes to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, and if he were to feel good he would receive a certain illumination, and maybe he wouldn't be even drawn to it. He feels that there's a certain truth that he can be rewarded by that. Still H saying to him, go and be rewarded. This world was created for you to enjoy. Go learn how to enjoy from life. Yeah, and then he comes and one day he enters a 10 and starts to going through all kinds of things. He still understands that here I'm going to be rewarded with something good in his vessel, in my vessel of reception. Yet because the 10 is in according to the laws of Rabash and what I was arranged for us by all the cysts, it doesn't lead him to what he thinks he's supposed to receive, meaning at some point he goes up on a ship that's sailing to a completely different direction than the place that he thought that he bought a ticket to a certain destiny, and it's going in a completely to a completely different destination, and it's gradually being revealed to him mean where I thought we're going this way, it turns out that we're actually going there. What and when this revelation comes, it's very unpleasant to a person. Because what do you mean I'm here? I thought I was supposed to receive something, so what? Nevertheless, how does he not, jump the ship? So what will the friends do? They'll bring him back forth. They will try to throw some say, but eventually they'll just let him go. Well, anyhow, is there some kind of salvation? Because we're really talking about a miracle here, so it seems like a miracle that those people that in the eyes of a person, they seemingly they betrayed him, they lied to him, they're not okay with him. Those same people are also supposed to be the ones that saved him. Why did they lie and betray? And what? Because a man wants honor, he wants control, he wants to be above everything. No, they didn't sign any agreement with him about that. That was the hidden intention, but it was still his intention. We can say that from the first day that you're not going to get honor, and not money, and not anything. That no money not, but you'll have it good here, you'll be loved, you'll be hugged. What they'll do for you here, it'll be better than what you had in this world. I don't know, I don't see people running towards us. Nope. In short, whoever thinks he's about to receive here some kind of fulfillment in the vessels of his reception, so run away. Yet morning lesson is like food for the beyond, that we're not looking only to calm down, we also want to change from within, for our hearts to change, to really feel day after day that I can love the friends more. How? From the scrutinies that we're doing in the lesson every day can we change more and more in the heart, just to learn how we are doing what we're learning. How can we actually do what we're learning? About what's special about the morning lesson that contributes to this change that happens in a person. In the morning lesson, we are scrutinizing ourselves. Who are we? What are we? How do we think? How do we scrutinize? How do we study inside us? Work takes the deeper scrutiny takes place when he comes to the morning mean. Throughout the day we're also scrutinizing, but during the morning something special happens within. In the morning lesson we are together. There is someone here. Yet the to know is where he differentiates between a blackout right now. But when you can differentiate between the cursed ham and the blessed mod, is this a process that we each time needs to identify and differentiate these two forces more one from the other? Is that considered the scrutiny of the 248 desires? Oh, I say so. And the moment he's done scrutinizing, does he have the correction of the stony heart happens on its own? What does that mean? The correction of the stony heart takes place when we scrutinize our state compared to the correct state. So it's an action that completely happens from above, that the moment we're done scrutinizing, we've done with our work. Not yet. There's more. So when he says that it happens on its own, he's talking about special lights that come and do some kind of work. There, yeah, and what are we over? There we are incorporated in. There we are in order to receive. For now we try to reach in order to bestow. We try to incorporate in vessels of bestow, and we try to incorporate in one another and in vessels of bestowal. From that we scrutinize our state. Okay, who else is burning here with? No. Well, what's the difference between Purim and Kim in the day of atonement that we need to check where and go in there? My, what's the difference between and when? Is it and when is it? Is that we need to see what degree we should be on, what degree we're on, and what degree we're sending towards to raise and holiness, and as opposed to that to see of atonement. Why is it called? Those are the two highest, most exalted days. Yet every day, today, yesterday, tomorrow, it's continuing its constant examinations. Where is my desire? And eventually, time after time, I found but it's like I feel like if yesterday was that I'm gonna be dying soon, but so no in English one can I. One, when I check where my desire is, there's the examination after an action that's each every time, but if I check before the action and the restriction put it, then I come to I felt that it's like the same thing. But there's a certain difference, but I just don't understand. It's very difficult to find joy in such a high, the highest of days, the most joyous of days, but I can't find it again and again. I found H. And that doesn't bring joy. Yes. Okay, let me ask a few people there. Look. What we have here, they're looking at us and learning how to ask. Holland dear. Ro, how can we help each other get in talks again? How can we help each other get in talks? Innated so that we don't know the difference between Kamen and Morai. Look there, I don't know. So what is the relation, let's say? How can that say that? Is it so that the miracle helps to get in talks, or the in talks helps to come to the miracle? How does that work? Raf, there's no connection between what we do here and the fact that we drink and get drunk and where we are in spirituality completely. Not, because the thing is the extent in which we can rise above reason that is called to be in intoxication. And what is what is the miracle in this? What's the relation with the miracle? I guess the connection between that and a miracle is that we come to a state we lose ourselves completely, and then we attain the miracle of P as something we have to begin to feel. For the time being it won't be clear MHM and what actually is. If we talk about intoxication, what actually is intox? To be drunk is, or to be intoxicated, it means to lose the connection with the upper degree and with the lower degree, and to want to be seemingly in, as it is written that he when he's drunk he's like, it's like the whole world is his bibala. To bestowing in order to bestow, is it right to understand that it's the intention to acquire the quality of bestow? What did he say? Bestowing in order to bestow. Is it correct to say that it's the intention to acquire an intention to be still? And then it turns out that when a person is in that state, so he receives such a portion of that gives them an understanding of the action of bestow reception in order to bestow. Then he gets P. It's more or less like that. Okay. We are learning things that are in an opposite nature of what am in. If I try to do something in such things, so I have no idea about desires that are in me, I'm relating to a state. And there's this general state called the W to receive. I'm trying to do something against it at some point. Will we get any idea what desire we can get, what desires exist, and what I'm correcting or trying to correct? Right now, yes, I'm with you. Together, yes, thank you. New York. 2 Hello R. We heard that after each lesson we need to summarize how much we advanced towards connection. How do we measure internally if we advanced towards connection or not? We can't do it. Yet we can't do it. Yet we're trying to incorporate in the vessels of bestow on the first state. What does it mean that a man is revealed, and what does it mean that we can't discern between him and anymore? If we try to be above the degree of ham, then we seemingly cancel our choice and attribute everything to the Creator. No, we start working by being in vessels of B, and then we uplift above H against where vessels. That's how the man changes. That's called help against them, where specifically he brings us to the go. He of reception become vessels of, we rise with him to vessels of where. Right, women Turkey 10:4. For it's written in the article about the serpent man and woman, according to the sin, that it brought a lot of sorrow to women. So she's asking, we really feel an unexplained feeling of sadness. Is what he's writing about? No, it's not connected. Why? In a lot of sources there's a recommendation to physically get drunk and pull him, that there will be more drinking than eating. How can we explain that? Explain it. Yes, there are such states that you can attain specifically between the good and the bad, because specifically in this change takes place. Brazil 1. Don't you have you for how to subdue H? So he starts bestowing that I can't say it. Of course it's the Creator who does it. Women have 1. How can we want to bestow if the water receive is empty or suffering, especially in such a way you can disconnect from the will to receive, because there's after all nothing here, and you can move to how to fight him when he pulls a person into himself, to fight the he will to receive. That is suffering and pulling me into myself, but it's empty. So what is it? Drawing you, because when it's lacking, so it takes me to start engaging in what I'm lacking. Good. So what to do? Rise above it, because we don't get anything from it. That's the miracle. That is the Miracle the noon lesson you said to think about drawing light towards the 10. Today I heard that it's important that each one is in the general scrutiny. How do those two kinds of work combine? That's exactly how it works. That's how that connects. We want to draw the light in where T and with that we want to incorporate in it can. Yes. Good morning, teacher. This is more about the end of the article. It says that me and my nation were sold. And there's damage. In from the king. How do you reach such a level that you can justify what's happening to you after many actions and states and blows? Then when we see that this all causes the desire to receive to enter into this connection, I'm sorry, not this connection, mitigation, sweetening, then we start to justify not before that happens is a mitigation that you don't when you don't see it for the good. It is for the good. What's happening now? Yes, for the good. Yes, thank you. No, well, the stories about Jews in Persia that fasted because they had no choice. They were told to connect and then a miracle happened. Do you see that also? Today we are in the same process that this we don't have a lot of time, but we have to connect, and if not he'll kill us. We are in art that is very to the exodus from in order to receive from the bad place. We still have several steps that we have to do in order to complete the scrutiny, and I really hope that we will all merit receiving a push from behind in a certain direction, and how to advance towards our we will do correction with the greater. Let's hope that we are before that. We need to want it in our heart, and it will happen. So you're giving us hope. I'm giving hope. Yes, that's also my role, and also I want and think it'll be that way. Thank you. Wonderful. So that's it. Me well, let's s once a year. He deserves it. I just wanted after sh to ask to me an order in the system. There's good and bad. As much as the good is greater, so is the bad. So the serpent was in front of him. Then that name serpent, it's the same Pharaoh before Moses. Then that serpent is a mile after they came out of Egypt. Then the serpent is Ham after building the temple, entering the land of Israel, and towards building the second temple. I want to ask about today the serpent. What can we say about it? Who is he? Who is the serpent? Today we have Israel, we have the world. CLE, there was never such a thing. I don't know. We don't have today a clear image that is the serpent. I can't say. We can't say that it's Israel. I'm talking about us, the world. CLE, and the nations. That's can we say that? No. I don't have exactly something to point at. That state is still unscrutinized. No, we will wait a little longer. We will wait, but of course you can't point at anyone specifically today that is carrying within him some seed of the serpent, or there is they were all pushing into some kind of attainment. Correct. Second temple, and let's say afterwards come closer to the third temple. So something has to be revealed. Something. Yes. So again the serpent under a different name. Yes. Serpent, that's the lack of connection between us. That's in order to receive. That doesn't let us connect. It causes us to stay in suffering. Yes, it's kind of like the force that doesn't let us connect. That's the serpent. Let's say T. Okay, back in the ends there. Who's that? We could say that today the serpent is individ. There's like a progress that each one wants to be an individualist according to his ideal. He's willing to just shatter all of society and all rules. We see it on social media, and that's how it's expressed. Such there's a certain part of evil inclination in that, but we can't say that that's the no want. In the article there's two things that I couldn't understand what he wrote about. What does it mean to keep the love of the others between man and the place? Well, as we all connect in order to reach the Creator with love. He writes that by wanting to receive the good from the Creator, he wants to keep the love of others between man and the place. Man in place is man and the Creator, right? Yes. So what's a connection that he gets the good and pleasure, and by this he keeps the love of others, and by that what the connection between love of others and man and the place, okay, that leads him to the love of the Creator. He writes afterwards that in the said he mentions partnership. He did good to his friends by bringing all the world to the good and abundance. So what's the connection between bringing the whole world to good and abundance, and by that that's good between man and friends? So I have friends. How can they feel anything from a person doing something good to the whole world. Continue trying to do good to one another, and you'll see how it works. So what is the partnership between man and friend? What is that? Then you'll see what partnership is. That's before love, or is it a higher degree than love? You'll discover everything. Thank you. Okay, there was someone else that constantly wanted to ask no. Oh, you. Yes, this action connection, when does it become from an empty word to a clear action that you know exactly how to do it correctly, because that's what they're demanding of us. Everything we read about of connection we all need to do together in the 10 to the extent is clarified or revealed before him. But when will it be clear what it is and how to do it? Pray what? Pray for it to be clear, meaning to want it to be clear. Let's say, yes, ask the Creator for it to become clear. I don't want to ask what I always ask you, but praying to the Creator. It's the same problem with the connection. It's words that are empty that I don't know what to take of it. How does it become a clear action? Write down every day, write down at least 3, 4, 5 pages to the Creator, to do with the feeling that you really didn't do anything at the end of the day. What should I do with it? Ask, pray, okay, clear. No, that's also not clear. I'm trying to ask in a different way, and I don't know what it all is. Every time I reach that same wall, I can't do anything. Not connection, not prayer. At least you can do. If it's not clear, that too you can enter into the prayer. Does that mean that you felt that you did something? You know you're praying. Is it a clear feeling? You have to say the prayer in such a way that depict yourself that all your words are reaching the Creator. Okay, do okay, thank you. Yes, sir, I wanted to continue what we were saying. You said we have a few scrutinies that we still to do in order to reach bail. Question is in our daily work, what scrutiny are we lacking that we need to do? The necessity for bestow, the need for bestow. Besides that, I don't want or need anything, is willing to give everything for that for the time being. It's like that. What force can give us that scrutiny? Where can you get such a force to do that scrutiny? From above, from the Creator. To receive always searches for ways. Fine fulfillment, get fulfilled from this, from that. It's the W to receive. Is that also spirituality, or is at corporality? It's still corporality. Okay, you already asked not to. Not yet. Today I'll ask, what is a Kabbalist happy from? What is a Kabbalist happy? From the smallest things to the most exalted things. It all depends on what he sees before him. For the resolution, you understand, it's like if I were truly happy, I would be happy together with you to reach the degree of pen. Said that we still have 6 or 10 women. Yes, well, let's see. In the beginning of the article we scrutinized, let's say I see a place where I can in 1% bestow through vessels of reception, and then we scrutinize that the con see. Then you answered V, that we can't connect in the vessels of reception. They invert and become vessels of bestow. Does that mean that there aren't vessels of reception? They're not considered vessels? No, it's not correct. Of course they are vessels. So what does it mean to invert the vessels that you were saying? I don't know what I meant when you answered, lad. You said that we need to assent the vessels of bestow, and we don't bestow in vessels of reception. That the vels exchange. I don't know, we have to go into that state again. Can I ask something else? Yes, quickly. The result of the correction on vessels of reception is that the state of forgetfulness where the into receive was no, not exactly no. A woman have one, and we learn that we need to get drunk till you can discern between a man and all the internality is just erased. We also went through a very strong convention, and it feels that we have to start something from the beginning. So how can we depict the path and the goal? The goal is connection until you cannot differentiate. What does that mean? It means that besides the connection between us, which becomes an empty vessel for the revelation of the Creator, for the revelation of the whole spiritual ladder, I don't want to attain anything else. So an empty vessel that you're building with the 10, that's a purpose. Let's say that. Yes, go down. Thank you all. Right, what else do we have? Today we have our schedule for today. Announcements. Oh, announcements. According to our schedule, okay, is there something for me at noon? We have the noon lesson, yes. That's clear, that is. Clear, okay guys, be healthy. I think all together we had scrutinies, and we entered into a certain feeling of in yes and in no, and that's how it is. Well, and now we'll see everyone at noon. Whoever can, yes, that's it. When are you traveling? When are you leaving? Witness day are on Wednesday, yes, so we still have you here. We still have time. Good, so continue today. Schedule Monday at noon. Lesson 5:30 reading. Test 7:30 reading. The Z will end with ver, so, har, for, it's more, for, spe, for,